Welcome, wrestling friends, to another edition of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, the Danaconda, Dan Sesnit. Dan, it's been a while. How's everything going, man?
I have been a little sick, a little busy, a little anxious, a little depressed, but wrestling still prevails.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear some of that, man.
Life.
But that is life. Yeah. Sorry for the hiatus, guys. I went on vacation. I went to Denver for a little bit. Had a really great time. Didn't really get to see the pay-per-view, last AEW pay-per-view live, so that was delayed, and then lives got in the way. But we're here today to
Yeah,
talk about
excited to be back.
some of the stuff that we missed out on.
Yes.
But yeah, what an interesting week for wrestling in realms that we didn't really expect to be in.
I mean, you gotta kind of expect it. We live in a politically driven entertainment world, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So
All right, so let's just start off hot. Let's talk about what happened this week. It was Donald Trump being a guest on the Undertaker's podcast, which I'm sure is a very riveting podcast. And his whole thing was to. It seems like he's trying to curry the favor of the wrestling fan to in this election. He's also been Trump's been on a podcast tour trying to engage and whatnot. I mean, I don't think that's a bad strategy, excluding who he is. But yeah, he was on the podcast. Let me just say this. I just think that Undertaker's a piece of shit. I think that Kane is a piece of shit. Obviously, we all know our feelings on Trump here. But yeah, I just think that over the years, there's just been so much that Mark Calloway, he's opened his mouth, his opinions about things, and even on today's modern wrestling too. And I just really, really don't like the guy at all.
he's not a particularly likable human being. This was embarrassing in a lot of ways because you look at a guy like Sami Zayn who is very political but has to hide his beliefs for fear that he's going to get disciplined for it.
Yeah.
And then you allow guys like Logan Paul and Undertaker the freedom to interview a rapist and a racist, right?
Yep.
Like it's just not. I don't think it's good business, man. But with all that being said, I think most wrestling fans are voting for Trump anyway. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Like I don't think that we're in the majority here.
I think that most hardcore fans are not voting for Trump, though. I think it's mostly a lot of like casuals and a lot of people that just watch WWE that aren't as into the behind the scenes stuff and whatnot. At least that's just what I think. That's what I've observed.
I think you'd be surprised.
I got a real wow. I think great thing coming out of this is that Mick Foley put out a fantastic video, basically just condemning Trump with fact-based evidence of why he is so bad for our country and data points and whatnot, and did it in such an articulate and thought-provoking way. Not well received by a lot of fans, but I don't give a fuck.
And that's why I say what I say. It wasn't as well received. You know what I mean? Like I think Trump is a cult of personality, right?
Yeah.
It is what it is. I don't think that there's going to be. I think a lot of wrestling fans are Trumpers, man. I think
it's true, just because there are a lot of wrestling fans too that are not very well educated.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's some fucking bunch of fucking dummies, a lot of them, right?
But, yep. Sadly, man, yeah, but I mean, I'm so glad that there are people out there like Mick Foley, like Kevin Nash, that are like, hey, not all wrestlers are fucking morons without actually saying it. You know,
The irony of Mick Foley being the guy that got hit in the head probably the most,
mm-hmm.
did some of the craziest shit, being the most sensible
And
guy
level-headed.
of that level-headed guy of that generation. So it's I don't know.
I
I
got
guess
into it
it's
yesterday. This is the weirdest sentence I think I will ever say on this podcast. I got into it yesterday with Henry Godwin on Mick Foley's Instagram
okay.
uh, because he said
Do tell.
he said in response to Mick's video, "I'll pray for you, American flag," and I was just like, "All right, bro, like." Yeah, he is I forgot what my response was, but I did it in a way that, I hopefully he feels like a piece of shit for saying what he said. But
I mean, I'll pray for him,
mhm.
not to the
and
weird.
who imagine having the moral high ground of the guy that used to hit women with the slop bucket, and we've all heard the stories of what they would do to the slop bucket before they
Yes.
put it on people,
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
not
he's the one
pretty.
with the moral high ground. I don't think so.
No, I mean, what can I say? Some wrestlers are just fucking stupid. I
Yeah.
think that was the Twitter quote.
Yes,
So,
absolutely, man. So yeah, fuck Undertaker and fuck Kane. It doesn't really. I think if I go back and I watch stuff, I just don't think that it's gonna like affect my fandom of them as characters.
it's hard, man. It's hard to separate the art from the artist, right?
Mhm.
Because if this
I'm
guy,
gonna do my best to though.
it's hard.
Yeah.
This is the weirdest election probably of all time, right? I would say
Mhm.
this is I can't think of anything that was more controversial or just downright bizarre than this.
Mhm.
Like you said it yourself, the former president that's running for president again is doing a podcast tour with a guy that used to play a fake dead person on
Mhm.
TV for children. It's a weird time to be alive.
Yeah, and in Mark Calloway's words, Trump makes politics fun. He thinks it's fun.
Yeah, no, I don't
And I
want my
think that says
politics fun. I want it
I
really
think that
fucking
says
boring.
everything you need to know about that guy.
Yeah, politics should be boring, like just
Mhm.
painfully boring. I don't need excitement in that shit.
No. All right. So we said our thoughts. I'm sure nobody is surprised with our thoughts on that whole thing.
Yeah,
Um,
we got a little political.
yeah,
So,
some people have turned away from our podcast because we're too political sometimes.
I
But
mean, we're in a political time.
yeah, yeah,
It's fun.
yeah. And come on, why not talk about it? It's directly wrestling related. Anyway, another thing that we missed is something that I had called from the beginning of the year that I really, really, really wanted to happen.
Mhm.
And Zack Sabre Jr. walked out of Dominion, I believe, as
Yeah.
the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, beating Tetsuya Naito. And this past weekend, he went into Royal Quest in the UK as the new IWGP champion. This is a moment where I just kind of say to myself, all is right in the world. You want to talk about long overdue. This guy, as long as Brian is out of the game now, he is the undisputed greatest technical wrestler in the world. And
I mean, you could argue he's the greatest technical wrestler in the world with Brian still in the game.
you could absolutely,
So,
but it makes the stance a lot easier with Brian out of the game.
yeah.
But yeah, he's really killing it right now. Have you watched any New Japan lately? Did you see the title win or?
I didn't see the title win. Honestly, like New Japan's one of those things that I start watching at like Wrestle Kingdom, and then I fade out, and by the end of the year, I'm like, oh
Hmm.
shit, I didn't watch New Japan at all this year. It's really sad, but again, it's one of those more inaccessible wrestling companies to
Yeah.
watch, on a streaming platform.
So here's the thing. Here's something interesting. Who do you think is going to step up and get the main event of Wrestle Kingdom this year against Zach?
I mean, in a perfect world, it's Brian Danielson, but
Well, that was last year too.
but this is the main event
Hmm.
for the title, But I don't know. I haven't watched enough New Japan to really say. What's your take on it?
I kind of have a feeling it's going to be Yoda Tsuji,
You think so?
and
You
I
think?
think like this is going to be Yoda Tsuji's first shot, like at a big championship, at a big main event and stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to try to get back into it and see if I can find a way to stream it, legally, of course. That's a little bit more accessible and easy and more user friendly, I
Hmm.
guess is the best way to put that.
Yeah.
But I
Absolutely.
would like to watch the lead up to Wrestle Kingdom because I tend to watch that, religiously. So
For sure, man. Yeah, so another thing that we missed that was a big fucking deal too. Um, Kind of a surreal moment, especially if you've been following these guys' careers for the past 20 years. The Motor City Machine Guns made their debut last week on SmackDown.
yeah,
And this was not your typical debut. I mean, they kind of had a backstage segment and stuff where they were introduced. I didn't love that. I thought maybe they should have kept more of the shock appeal to this by them coming out as like a mystery tag team. You know what I mean?
they had already been putting out vignettes for him, though. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
everybody sort of knew they were coming. It wasn't going to be a big shock.
Yeah.
It wasn't a very big pop. I'll tell you that much. I was shocked. I thought it was going to be a much bigger roar.
I think that the crowd wasn't all that great, but also at the same time, like these are WWE fans and just like people that just watch that product. And I think it's just going to take them a little bit of time to really love MCMG. And I think it's not going to take that long. I mean, even from
It
they
shouldn't.
got a pop at the win, and you know, you're going to see them wrestle week to week. You're going to see how in sync they are with their tag team moves and
Mhm.
just how great that you're going to see exactly why they've been so influential
Oh, for
to modern
sure.
tag team wrestling.
For
And
sure.
yeah, I'm not too concerned about not as great of an initial pop.
And this is the place I thought they should be, right? I'm not criticizing what they did. The match was
Mhm.
good. I would have preferred a straight up tag match
I
rather
would have
than,
too. Yeah.
it doesn't really give you a chance to see what they can do. But we're
Hmm.
gonna get that, them versus DIY. I think
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
tomorrow night, is it?
It is
No,
tomorrow night, but that's
is
also
it?
game one of the World Series with my New York Yankees.
Your New York
So
Yankees. You
my
can you
as opposed to yours.
are
So
you writing their checks? Are you batting cleanup? Fuck
yeah,
them. No, I'm
whatever.
just kidding. Congratulations,
Okay,
honestly.
Danny Downer, very
No, I'm
appropriate.
saying
You got that name
congratulations.
tag.
For real.
Yes, yes, they deserve it. They deserve to be there.
I'm still
Um,
rooting for the Dodgers, but congratulations for getting there.
hmm yes, very excited about that whole thing. But yeah, with DIY versus Motor City Machine Guns tomorrow, kind of got a feeling that the Bloodline's just going to interfere, and we're going to end up getting a triple tag team match.
Which sucks.
Mhm.
Like, I think they got to get those titles off the bloodline. And if they want to bring in Motor City Machine Guns, they have to use them the proper way and build that tag division back up.
Mhm.
And the bloodline isn't it. They have enough storyline. They don't need titles to go with it.
I think maybe a good thing to do, maybe have Motor City win tomorrow, and they go on to face God, And when they face God, Bloodline has their shenanigans, but Roman and company thwart off the Bloodline. That evens the odds for Motor City, and Motor City ends up winning.
I will let you know what happens because I will be watching. Because
Yeah.
I'm watching the kids tomorrow while my sister-in-law and my wife go to a concert, so I'll get to have the whole house to myself. Me and the kids are gonna watch SmackDown. Yeah.
What concert?
Rainbow Kitten Surprise.
Oh yeah, I've heard them.
They're okay. They're an indie band. Yeah, they're her thing. They like it, and they're playing here in Charlotte, so got our tickets for some anniversary or birthday or some shit. But
I can't help but say that I think Rainbow Kitten Surprise are kind of mid, but a lot of their appeal has to do with the name of the band.
Yeah, I mean, they're okay. Like I said, they're not my thing. I'm not, that's why I got the tickets for them and not myself. But as long as they have a good time, I get to watch wrestling, and that's what I care about.
Hell yeah. All right, something else I just wanted to bring up, and this wasn't in the format. Did you get a chance to check out any of that Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling that happened?
Just the clips I saw.
Just the clips, okay.
You mean Canadian TNA?
Canadian TNA. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I watched the first show.
Did you? Okay.
I'm almost done with the second show. It's on Fight TV if you want to spend $30 on that, or there's alternative means of watching it.
Triller, right? Triller.
Triller, yeah, that's what it's called now. Yep. But holy fuck, man. I gotta give my flowers to Takeshita and Mike Bailey. I think that they truly did put on a match of the year candidate.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, and
I didn't know what it was on, so I'm glad you told me it was on Triller because I just set up an account. I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, I mean it's $30, but it's $30 for both shows, so it's not really that bad of a deal.
No, you're paying $50 for an AEW pay-per-view. So, how long are the shows?
3 hours each.
Oh, that's totally.
That's a pretty good deal. Yeah. So, I like what I saw. I really did.
What were some of the other matches? Do you remember?
I saw Giselle Shaw versus Miyu Yamashita.
Okay.
Trevor Lee was on the show. He was in a multi-man match. Trying to think of what else happens. I mean, the Bailey match is really what stood out more than anything. ELP was on the show. Yep. Yeah, so they try to have like a lot of Canadian representation.
I'm gonna check it out. That sounds good. It's Scott D'Amore's thing, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that's why I was just making sure it did have that TNA vibe. I think Josh Alexander was on the show too.
Josh Alexander is on the show too. Alexander actually faces Takeshita in night 2.
Oh, okay.
So
that's probably a slight.
Haven't gotten to that match yet. I know at the very end, Ricochet makes the save for Josh Alexander.
Yep. I saw that was one of the clips I saw.
Yep. But yeah, that is something worth checking out, and I'm really looking forward to the next Maple Leaf show. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say one of the major highlights of that show is Mauro Ranallo back on commentary.
I saw that. Was he good?
Did not lose a step, man.
Okay.
I don't think I got a Mamma Mia, but
then he lost a step.
But he crushed it, dude. He knew all the moves. He was back in form.
Who was his partner?
Don Callis.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. That's
interesting. Really good. Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm gonna check that out, man. That's good. I like a new promotion.
Really good production value too. Like that's one of the things that really brought me to it also. Me and Dan, we watch a lot of indies, and some of the indie promotions we watch, the production isn't really the greatest. So see an indie come out that has such amazing production and all the lights and big stars and everything, like you gravitate towards it,
Yeah, so, I mean, it might be another one of those, maybe a super indie.
Yeah, for sure. And that's something we've been kind of missing lately too. I mean, PWG hasn't really been around.
No.
GCW has just kind of been pretty hit or miss lately. Um,
Yeah.
Beyond Wrestling has been leaving really bad tastes in people's mouths with some of the things they've been
Yeah.
doing, and it's really
Yeah.
bothering me because that's a
Yeah.
promotion that I really cared and supported.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to think now. Um, and then you got remember Warrior Wrestling that was out in Illinois. That was a big super indie. They had a lot of really big
Hmm.
stadium shows, and
Yeah.
that hasn't been around. So yeah, maybe Maple Leaf is gonna fill that void.
Hope so. Hope so.
Mhm.
Shit. I lost my whole train of thought. That's okay.
It's okay because next we just want to touch on real quick. Obviously, we missed Wrestle Dream, but I think the big thing that happened at Wrestle Dream is seemingly Brian Danielson's career is over. He lost to John Moxley. First, let's just discuss this. Do you think that John Moxley was the right guy to beat Danielson?
Yes. I do.
I think he was too. I think the only thing about it that just kind of leaves more to be desired is after the match they did the plastic bag spot again, and that just kind of makes me be like, fuck that. Now this makes me want Brian to like come back.
A little
Get revenge.
uninspired, but I'm still in denial and I still think he's not done. So I refuse to believe it.
I think he's not done, but I think he is gone for quite a while.
Yeah. It's got to be. I
Like
think he's supposed to
at
be
least
having neck surgery or something to that
yeah,
effect.
yeah,
So,
yep. And in that time period, we're expecting that like Kenny Omega is going to come back. Maybe we'll even get Kota Ibushi. Um,
mm,
I think that the only thing that, while AEW has had a lot of missteps lately, this main storyline with Moxley and the BCC is very, very interesting, and
very good.
it brings like elements of the NWO in WCW back
Yeah.
into wrestling.
Yeah.
This
It's
need
a
for the babyface locker room to join together again in a united front against this contingent.
so here's my thing with it. I really enjoy it. It's a little, I don't want to say uninspired, but wrestling is cyclical like that. If it's a formula that's going to be used throughout wrestling promotions till the end of time, the invasion or takeover angle. Um, Outside of Orange Cassidy and Daniel Garcia, I don't think the babyface contingent is
It's weak,
believable
right?
enough.
It's
I
weak,
don't think it's believable enough, right?
right? And I think I'd like to say that it's a slow build, that they're going to keep bringing in bigger stars as part of that front, that baby
They're going
face.
to need to.
Yeah.
They're going to need to because if they don't, it's going to get stale really fast.
Hmm.
I just I need a Samoa Joe or something to that effect.
Definitely.
Somebody
Yeah.
major.
Yeah.
So
You need ass
I don't know.
kickers.
Yeah, somebody that's believable if you're getting in a fight with these guys.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Hopefully they go in a direction. I obviously I understand that you have to fill out the rest of your show, but boy, them taking over and using all the baby faces from AEW as a a posse, if you will.
Hmm.
It needs to be done.
Absolutely, man. So let's talk about Dynamite from last night. How about you start it off, Dan?
Absolutely. So we kicked off with. Did you like the commentary team of Excalibur, Daddy Magic, and Shivani?
I did.
I miss Taz still.
Well, yeah, I love Taz.
Yeah.
But I will always welcome Daddy Magic onto the
I was
commentary
surprised
team.
it was Daddy Magic and not Nigel again, but it's what it is.
Maybe there's
It was a good,
scheduling conflict. You don't know.
yeah, probably good group though. Daddy Magic just normally isn't on Dynamite, so it was just a surprise to hear his voice. But But they kicked off the night with an in-ring segment with Hangman Adam Page and Tony Schiavone.
Mhm.
Hangman saying Hangman things, and he knocked out Austin Gunn. Colton Gunn jumps in, and then after that, we had Jay White and Juice Robinson as a run-in. Jay
Yep.
White, Juice Robinson get the best of Hangman.
I'm sorry, Dan. I don't mean to interrupt you, but did you mention that the AEW roster was waiting for Moxley to show up
Oh, I didn't. I
at the
skipped
beginning of the
the
show?
beginning because we talked about Moxley so
Yeah.
much at the beginning. Yeah, no,
I liked how this kind of set the tone for the show.
yeah, and Mox's promo at the beginning, I am a fan of them opening up with Mox saying something cryptic, and then
Mhm.
whatever, the show goes on, and then they show up. I like the formula. It's been well done.
Do you think this
So
ultimately leads to Shane? Still, because it would feel very NWO-y in a good way if Shane was to show up. That's kind
I'm
of like
really
the
torn on it.
benefactor of this group. Yeah.
I'm really torn on it, because if you bring in sort of a dark Shane, with money element, but he can't be Shane from WWE. He has to be
Yeah, he
different.
needs to have a different vibe. I think we
Yeah,
talked about this before. Yeah.
yeah. If
He
if
can't
if
be
so, then
money,
yes.
money, money.
Yeah, I don't want to see him coming out and doing his little dance. I want him to
No.
be like, no, like, this isn't what I was doing. This never was what I wanted to do. I'm going to take over this company.
Mhm.
Let's show him let's show them what violence is. He's a sick fuck. He
Yeah.
likes violence. He
And
always has.
Shane could even say, I always loved violence. I was the one that wanted WWE to buy
Yeah.
UFC
Yeah.
back in the
I
day.
mean, wasn't Underground his, I mean, I know it was a ripoff, but didn't
Mhm.
he, sort of spearhead that ripoff?
Yeah. Yeah, I think he was yeah. I think
Yeah.
he was a big reason why that happened.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the Hangman segment. Interrupted by Jay White and Juice Robinson. Uh, you know, Jay White cuts a nice promo. What did you think of this segment?
I liked it. I think that this is really putting a fire under Jay White as he's returned back from injury,
The
and it's
best way to
making him
use
a
them.
lot more interesting.
Yeah.
As great as he is as a heel and how much we've loved him as a heel, for whatever reason, it just didn't seem to be connecting.
No, it
Maybe it
didn't.
was just a matter of there's too many like high profile heels in AEW that were kind of like taking up that spot.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that this is a really nice spot for Jay White and Hangman, and Hangman has just been great in this new role that he's in.
Yeah, just the unhinged Hangman, the unhinged cowboy. It's been really, really good. Um, I like this feud because it's got history, and Hangman's feuds always just seem super personal, no matter who it's against.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be another really good feud for these guys to do something that's not title based, right?
Yes.
So, all right. Next up, we had a match that I was super excited for, and I think it delivered. Sammy Guevara versus Shelton Benjamin. Um,
Hell yeah.
Shelton Benjamin
This
is
is
unleashed.
yes. This is just we didn't get to see this Shelton Benjamin in WWE for the last like 5 years.
No,
It's like we had no idea that he was able to wrestle at the level that he's in, that he has been in AEW. Because I mean, he was either in a tag team match in WWE or he was in a match on Main Event that was maybe like 10 minutes. We didn't really we didn't get to see the best of Shelton Benjamin. I loved this match. I undoubtedly think that this was a big highlight of the show. Um,
yeah,
and I think what everyone is talking about from this match is that Sammy and Shelton recreated the Shelton and HBK moment
It wasn't quite as good, but it was pretty fucking awesome.
Quite as good, but it was so cool to see the role reversed, where Shelton was the one hitting the super kick on the guy coming off the springboard rather than the other way around.
And Sammy was really built cool. Sammy was built to sell that spot.
Yeah,
like his whole life has been leading up to him selling that spot, and he's done it in similar situations before. He's I understand why he can be perceived as unlikable. You know what I mean? But there is no doubting his ability between the ropes.
No,
he is not one of the best when he gets in that ring.
And you know what? I kind of liked his promo before the match too, and I feel like this is a more humbled Sammy Guevara, where he's gonna have to reclaim his past glory again by having a slow climb to the top.
I feel like we've seen that from Sammy before, though. I feel like that promo is something we've heard. He's a champion right now, so it's not the most believable. Like, I gotta climb back to the top. Like, he's literally are.
It's a Ring of Honor championship, though.
But it's still a title, right? So you're just gonna devalue it like that? Like, it means nothing.
It doesn't have the same prestige as if you're a champion on AEW. That's for sure.
Yeah, it doesn't, but it should. If you want it to be taken seriously, it should.
Yep. I guess the only thing I'll say about this, also, if I had to just be nitpicky about Shelton, I just think that the Exploder Power Slam is a little weak compared to like all the other moves that he's putting out in the match.
Yeah. I'm sure he'll come up with something.
Do the jumping. What was it? The pay dirt.
Yeah.
The jumping flatliner. I liked that a lot more. It's a little bit more flash.
Maybe it was just for this match. I don't know. Is that how he finished?
That's how he finished the last match too, with Lio Rush. Yeah. I know that. I mean, that was the move he was using a lot when he was like a singles babyface in WWE.
Interesting. Maybe time for a freshen up.
Yeah.
All right.
He fucking rules, man.
Oh yeah, no, and I hope he's on TV all the fucking time. Give us 10, 12 minutes of Shelton Benjamin every week, and I don't think anybody's going to complain.
Nope.
All right, next up we had Renee Paquette backstage with world champion, AEW Women's World Champion, the Glamour Mariah May. All right. Screaming about how Anna Jay doesn't belong in the ring with her. To put some context on that, Anna Jay beat her in an eliminator match at Battle of the Belts, so she does earn herself a title match.
I think this is just biding time until Tony's back.
Probably, but Anna went to Japan and did a lot of hard work, so I'm glad to see that they're giving her a chance, right?
I guess I'll just reserve my judgment on Anna because I didn't see Battle of the Belts. I haven't really seen Anna Jay's work since she has been back from Japan. So,
yeah. All right. So next up, we had our segment with Kyle Fletcher telling us why he did what he did.
Good promo. I liked it. Maybe not everyone did.
It started to drag for me a little bit in the middle. Like, it definitely was like, are you going to get somewhere?
But listen, the way that he reacted to the crowd telling him to wrap it up, I thought was brilliant.
Yeah,
he crushed it.
He definitely took the crowd and kept them out of it, because that could have rattled a lot of people. Like a lot of people, and he kept them out of it.
He was not rattled.
No, he wasn't. It was a strong promo. I just felt like it dragged a little bit. It was a little long. But it gave us everything. He goes, as you said, full 2007 Britney.
Yes.
So I'll give you credit for that.
Shaving his head.
Yeah.
Everybody.
If only he had an umbrella with him, that would have been even better. But no, I like that he's getting the shine he's getting. He deserves it. He's a really good wrestler, and clearly he can cut a promo. And if he starts to get weak in the promo department, he's got Don Callis, who is not.
Yeah.
So I think
Him
he's
and
in a
Don
really
Callis
good
got
position.
twins with their haircuts.
Yeah, I th- I think he's in a really good position, and I think that Takeshita is not going to be the only shining star in the Callis family.
No, definitely not. And I think people forget too who is on the shelf right now that should be coming back fairly soon from the Callis family, and that's Powerhouse Hobbs. And
Powerhouse
I'm
Hobbs, and
really hoping that he gets the push that he deserves when he's back.
yeah, I hope they keep him separate from the Callis family. You know, it would be one of those things where if they were like, yeah, we're going to keep him completely separate
How
and
cool would
not
he
even.
be? How cool would it be if Powerhouse Hobbs came back, turns babyface against the Callis family, and eventually is part of the babyface team against the new BCC?
I mean, whatever they do, I just hope they separate them because
I think
the
fans
Callis
want to cheer
family's
Powerhouse Hobbs.
yeah, and the Callis family's pretty full up, right? Because if
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think about it, they still got Trent on the shelf too.
yeah. That's true.
So
Yep,
um,
and they have the monster tag team now.
they have the Monster Tag Team. They have Fletcher. They have Takeshita. I just don't think it's something that Powerhouse Hobbs needs. I
Mhm.
think that dude is just over for the sake of,
They
just
should get a
showing
woman
up
in that group at some point.
in the Callis family.
Maybe like
Who?
Serena Deeb or something.
Huh. Interesting thought. There's a lot of. I mean, that's a deep roster. You could pick a lot of them,
Hmm.
but yeah, I like it. Um, all right. So after this, we had another Renee interview backstage. This time with Ricochet. Um, you know, it's an okay promo. It's
Shout out to
Ricochet.
Maple Leaf Pro though. I thought that was cool.
Yeah,
Um, and once again, MVP and Shelton giving out their business cards. I just like the fact that MVP and Shelton are not shy about whoever they give the business card to. They're just giving it to like a lot of talents that are out there.
I'm wondering if it's going to bear fruit at any point, right? Like when is it going to start? Showing up. Do we get Bobby Lashley next Wednesday on Dynamite? Do you think?
I th- possibly,
I
possibly.
mean, it's Swerve versus Shelton,
Yeah.
so
So maybe that's how the match ends. You know what I thought was interesting that happened a couple weeks ago is that the Acclaimed got MVP's business card. Bowen shut them down, but then you saw Max Caster take the card and put it in his pocket.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ways they could go. It's interesting.
Little
So they
subtlety
could
right
split up tag teams. They could do a lot of things, but
there. Hmm.
um, I don't know. I would like the group to expand sooner rather than later. I think it's important.
Yes.
Um, all right. Next up, we had a squash match with Lance Archer and Brian Cage versus two local competitors. I didn't even see this match.
You
That's how
didn't see it?
fast it went. No.
Well, the tag team finisher is awesome. It's a power bomb choke slam combo.
Okay, that's dope.
Uh, I like the look of these two together, and I want to see them in more long form matches. And I think we're going to get that soon.
I did see that Lance Archer is back to having his braids, which is a much better look. A
Oh,
much better look.
oh yeah, they were. He was being called like Timu Drew McIntyre for a week.
Yeah, he was not. It did not look very good.
Hmm.
So, um, all right. This is where the show gets really bad, even though this match was good until the finish.
Yeah,
Next up, we had the World Championship, Ring of Honor World Championship ladder war match. Mark Briscoe
yeah.
versus Chris Jericho. Um,
All right, yeah. So just like Dan said, I thought the action in this match was great. I thought that Mark hitting the elbow drop through the table onto Jericho was
uh-huh.
awesome. Really, what this all came down to is, I guess the thing that I really hated about this match is that as much as Jericho got his assistance from his
Big Bill.
his Big Bill and Brian Keith, like why did why was it just Kyle O'Reilly that had the back of Mark Briscoe? Like, where's the rest of the conglomeration? They're all just too preoccupied with the mocks to
Probably.
help out at all. Didn't love that. I think that this is a political move just because Jericho is in Terrifier 3
Yep.
movie that's out right now. I think that this
Uh-huh.
is only like, I don't know why it has to be Mark Briscoe as the one that drops the title. Jericho wants a championship. Like, I don't know. Mark Briscoe already had his big like title win on pay-per-view against Jericho, and that wasn't enough for Jericho apparently.
Yeah, it's very disappointing, the finish.
Yeah, and plus, like, it was Big Bill just like carrying Jericho up to grab the championship too. It was just yeah, it wasn't a clean finish at all. It didn't make Mark look weak, but it just made the promotion look stupid.
I mean, I know this is silly, but if they're getting a TV show, then maybe that is why. He was the first champion of AEW when they first got to TV. So,
Yeah,
maybe that's why. Maybe Ring of Honor replaces Rampage ultimately, and he's sort of
they should do
the
that. They should do
you
that.
know maybe that's the case because I know that Rampage is being dropped if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
I think so
Oh, good.
with the new TV deal.
I think that's a good thing
Yeah.
because
So.
it's just kind of dead air, that show.
Yeah, it's unfortunate because there's some good there's some good moments from Rampage's
Mhm.
history, and it was a cool idea, but it's a tough time slot,
Yeah.
really tough.
And a lot of times they don't put out matches that make you want to stay up and watch.
No,
I remember going to an AEW show last year, and the Rampage lineup for in order to stay after Dynamite was like, do you guys just want to go home? Because the main event is Riho versus Nyla Rose, and we've seen that match a million times.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, it's
yeah,
just, what the
yeah.
fuck.
That's a tough. It is tough. They should do Rampage before they do Dynamite.
Yeah,
Truthfully, that would
yeah.
be much better, but maybe they won't be doing it at all.
That's how
We'll see.
WWE used to do it with Sunday Night Heat.
I remember. I loved Sunday Night Heat.
Yeah, you had a hot crowd there that couldn't wait for Raw.
Yep, it was smart.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have the Adam Cole interview. In the ring, he's interrupted by Roddy and the Undisputed Kingdom. Um,
This shit sucked, dude. I'm
it
sorry.
wasn't good.
It was not good at all. I just think that, like, and this whole thing with him and MJF, first of all, the angle of like uh, Cole is all of a sudden a baby face in this whole situation. They're just trying to run it back. Like, we have to forget that like Cole was the one that turned on MJF, and like he's trying to explain away that he only did it because he knew MJF would do it to him, and it's just blah 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 blah. That's all stupid. And then you got Roddy and Matt Taven and Mike Bennett coming out there, and apparently they're all still friends. I was kind of expecting maybe the Undisputed Kingdom would beat up Adam Cole.
So was
Um,
I.
and
So was I.
like, I feel like that would have been a better way to go.
I thought
Um,
that was coming. Like
and
just the
maybe
way they
that,
positioned themselves in the ring made
yeah.
me think that it was coming.
But like, if they're really gonna just stay the course with like these three guys still having Adam Cole's back, and they all have to, and that the most convoluted thing about this is like all four of those guys are wrestling 3 matches, and whoever wins 3 matches in a row is gonna face MJF. Like, that is so fucking weird and convoluted and stupid. And like, who passed this? Did anyone say anything to Tony before he wrote this and was just like, this is so messy? Because it's messy.
It is messy. I mean, it's messy because ultimately, we're gonna get Cole versus MJF, right? Like
Yeah.
that's gonna be the end game. You're just trying to throw a bunch of other shit in there and see what sticks. And truth be told, none of it stuck.
Yeah.
So, all right. Next up, we had Renee Paquette interviewing backstage again, this time Jamie Hayter, talking about Penelope Ford. I like this mini feud for Hayter. I think Penelope Ford never really got enough credit in
Yeah,
the ring
I agree.
for what she can do, and I think this will be a really good little feud for the both of them.
Yeah, I think that Penelope Ford has just kind of been stuck in valet purgatory for so long, even
She was
before
injured too.
before she got injured too.
Yeah.
She wasn't really wrestling a whole lot, and she can do so much in the ring.
Yep.
I just think I want to see Penelope get an opportunity here. Definitely not at the expense of Jamie Hayter, though. I think
No.
this is just to elevate Hayter. But I would like to see Penelope continue to get exposure.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, this is a deep women's division, and it'll be a good feud. I like a good secondary non-title, just grudge match feud for women to get somebody else on the show.
Yeah,
And I think they've been doing a good job of keeping women on the show and getting them good exposure. So kudos for that. I don't think we've talked about that enough.
yeah.
So next up, we had another squash match: the House of Black versus Kevin Koa, Jaden Monroe, and Hirata Taylor Muerte, who lasted all of I think
Why is
3
that
seconds.
somebody? You got to change this guy's name for the fucking squash match. You got to give him a name like Jim Reed.
Jim
Like
Reed.
a name like that. Just I don't know.
I don't think Jim Reed would have gone with his aesthetic, but sure, yeah. I mean,
Or just
like I said,
something a lot more basic than fucking Pirate of the Dead.
well, he
Uh,
got kicked in the face immediately, and I don't think he even came back to the match.
no,
If we're
no,
being honest.
no. And this was just a waste again. And I kind of went off on this in the chat yesterday just because it pisses me off. They've had the House of Black for 3 years and they still haven't quite figured out how to use them.
They've done some cool shit with them. Let's not sell it short, right? Like the House Rules Trios title run was good.
We have not seen these guys to their full potential, though.
No, I
Not.
won't say that, but I will say that it hasn't all been a total waste.
Yeah, it's just I don't
Couple little
understand how you
things.
have someone like Malachi Black on the roster and you don't involve him in main event feuds, and he's been treading water for so long, and I'm at the point right now where it's just like, just give this guy his release and have him go back to because
Imagine them being on.
Triple H knew how to book this guy.
They should book him as part of the group that goes up against Mox.
Yeah,
right.
Like
It
they
should
would be
be
great
big
dark
names.
baby faces to go up against all of them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they need names. They need names in this. And
yeah,
Orange Cassidy is your biggest name. And don't get me wrong, that's a big one for your promotion. But
I would just hate to see all three of these guys be used as fodder for this totally lame MJF Adam Cole feud. And it looks like that at least Buddy Matthews is going to be a part of that. Buddy Matthews is going to face Adam Cole next week. Just to jump ahead for you.
Yeah.
Backstage, Cole said, you got a problem with me. And then Buddy said he needs to prove a point that that Adam Cole is fragile. And then Adam Cole had his boo-boo face on after that. And it's just like, okay, this is really the story they want to tell. Like, come on.
It's not
whack. Great. This whole shit, like, this is the part of the show where I was just like, what the fuck are they doing, man?
I started to check out at this point in the show. I won't lie.
Yeah.
So I'll say what was next. We had the that's not true. I didn't check out because I actually was paying attention to Aminata versus Camille because I'm a big Queen Aminata fan.
Yeah. And I think Queen Aminata rules. I think that a lot of Camille's flaws in the ring were evident in this match.
Yeah, she's hopefully
she did one of the most sloppy rack bombs I've ever seen.
Yeah, the Hurricane Rana that she took where she barely flipped over was not
Yeah,
particularly great either. But
right.
she hasn't really wrestled a lot, so
Do
I'll
you think
just
do you think AEW missed with her as the heater versus someone that we had predicted before, like Megan Bayne?
yeah, because Megan Bayne can go in the ring.
Yeah.
But I think we're still going to see Megan Bayne at some point.
I think Megan Bayne might actually be too good to be a heater.
That's fair.
She needs to kind of be her own entity.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But whenever we do see Megan Bayne, people are going to be their minds blown,
Yeah.
bottled.
100%.
Cool. All right, next up we had the SUV pull up stage. Everybody thought it was Mox. It was Christian Cage and the Patriarchy.
Mm-hmm. They're the ones that attacked Taz, apparently.
Another segment where I was just like, I'm not into it.
The big reveal is that Kip Sabian low blowed Hook and aligned himself with the Patriarchy,
which he's been trying to do forever. Good for him. He got in. Congratulations. But I
don't think he was trying to get in, though, was he? He was.
When they first started interacting, that was something that he was trying to do, and he was trying to, get him to accept him, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh. Well, I thought it was
like
lame.
I said, it sucked. Yeah, it's lame.
Thought it was really lame.
All right. So next up, we had the main event, that being the trios match: Jack Perry and the Young Bucks versus Daniel Garcia and Private Party. This is actually exactly what you expected. A really great match, a good main event.
Mm-hmm. I thought so too. And once again, we get a lot of shine out of Private Party. I'm loving Private Party more and more. And of course, at the end here, you got the announcement that Private Party is challenging the Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships. It's going to be next week. And if they lose, Private Party splits up. And I really, really, really hope that doesn't happen, because the last couple of years we've been deprived of Private Party because Mark Quinn has been out for so long. Yeah. So I just feel like they're just getting their feet wet again, and we're really starting to remember why they are such a great tag team. They've matured as a tag team. I really want to see them win the tag titles, because I don't want to see them split up.
I don't want to see them split up either. I don't think they're going to. I think that we see a title change there.
I hope so. I really fucking hope so, because they deserve it, man. They really do.
They do deserve it, but then they got jumped.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know. All in all, I think this was just a pretty weak show.
Yeah, but you didn't mention really what happened at the end, though.
Yeah, I just said that they got jumped. What's that?
Chuck Taylor.
Yeah.
With a chair.
Shit.
Yeah. So Claudio and Wheeler got a hold of Chuck Taylor, which is a cool angle in itself, because Wheeler grew up idolizing Chuck Taylor, so you see where he's at now. And they stomped the chair, which was
around Chuck's neck.
Around Chuck's neck, and Chuck was left lifeless. And this leaves OC broken, and that he is going to go through a transformation here. And I like how the last few weeks we have been seeing like the older guard of AEW approaching Orange Cassidy and being like, hey man, you need to step up, you need to be a leader. And I think that come next week we are going to see a different kind of Orange Cassidy that is going to step up. I think that ultimately the next pay-per-view, Full Gear, I think it is, right?
Yeah.
I think we're going to get OC versus Mox for the title.
It's just unfortunate that OC is not going to win there. I think that the next person
we are going to see a more violent Orange Cassidy than what we have ever seen. And
Yeah.
I think that this is a great storyline in that Orange Cassidy is emblematic of the AEW that Mox seems to hate, that Mox seems to be embarrassed by,
Yeah.
and this is going to open up a new side of him. And I'm excited about it, and I want to see this main event Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. I can't wait. It's going to be a great match. They have history. They have chemistry. It all makes sense. It's good. I just am tired of seeing. Well, I don't want to say that. I just don't want to see OC lose, and that's just I don't see Mox losing to OC. I think Darby is going to be the guy that ultimately takes the title off Mox.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely, man. Yeah. So.
By whatever means necessary.
Yeah, listen, even though this was a very weak Dynamite, I can't say everything was bad. I think that it was bookended very well. It's like we got a shit sandwich on brioche bread.
Yeah, it had its highlights, but all in all, it was a weak show. I think we're going into a really strong show. We're going to get Shelton versus Swerve next week. It's a Halloween themed show, so they tend to do, good when it comes to their theme shows. So I'm confident that they're going to bounce back from this mid episode of Dynamite.
Yep. I mean, Buddy Matthews is going to be on there. He's from the House of Black. He has orange hair. It fits the aesthetic of Halloween, so.
You're an idiot.
I know. But yeah, it's wasn't the best Dynamite, but there's still stuff to look forward to for sure.
It wasn't the worst. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's my positive note on Dynamite. It wasn't the worst.
Yeah, we've seen worst episodes for sure. You got anything left for us, Dan?
No, sir.
All right. As always, guys, follow us on Instagram at Smarknado, on Twitter at Smarknado1, and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and check out our link tree. We got our YouTube on there. We got our merch store with What a Maneuver. Dan, you have anything left for us?
No, register to vote. Well, you can't register to vote. Make sure you do vote, though. And stay fresh, cheese bags.
Keep watching wrestling.